There's an efficient way to get caught up on a lot of news. It's called The Seven from the Washington Post. It's a newsletter and podcast. Whether you're reading or hit play, you get 7 stories you need to know, and you can consume it all in just a few minutes. The Seven is out every weekday morning by 7 a.m. Eastern. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'm one of the writers, and I host the show. Find The Seven podcast wherever you're listening. The newsletter link is waiting for you in the show notes.
In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, it is action-packed. I speak with Robert Patrick, Benicio del Toro, and the cast of The Phoenician Scheme, and Danny and Michael Philippou, all about the brand new A24 horror film, Bring Her Back. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and I thank you once again for joining me on Pop Culture Weekly, your backstage pass to the biggest names and buzziest things in entertainment and pop culture. I, of course, am Kyle, and I'm so stoked about this stacked episode for you today. First up, we're going to be honoring the spirit of Memorial Day, as we did with the last episode where I was live from, the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. for our annual National Memorial Day concert episode, where I interviewed a bunch of the talent and, it was all about that amazing show, which is on demand and on Facebook and YouTube for the next 2 weeks. So make sure you check it out. So I have an interview from there with Robert Patrick from Terminator and The X-Files and 1923 and Peacemaker and Reacher and just an awesome guy. So I talk with him once again about National Memorial Day concert. Then we're stepping into the eerie and electrifying universe of Danny and Michael Philippou and their horror world, as I talk to them about their brand new, amazing, and spine-tingling film, Bring Her Back. It is so good. It is all of the things that I loved about Talk to Me times 10 for Bring Her Back. And then we're diving headfirst into the mysterious and thrilling world of Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme with its powerhouse cast, including Academy Award winner Benicio del Toro, the always compelling Michael Cera, and rising star Mia Threapleton. So trust me, this is one you don't want to miss. This is an awesome episode, and I'm really hyped about it. All right, so let's jump right in. My first guest is an amazing actor whose career has spanned over 3 decades and includes some of the most iconic roles in film and TV. From terrifying audiences as the relentless T-1000 in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, to delivering powerful performances like Agent Doggett on The X-Files and on Sons of Anarchy and Peacemaker and so many more, he is a true force of nature on screen. But today, he's not just going to be discussing those things, and I got to ask him about The X-Files, but something far more personal and powerful. The National Memorial Day concert. So please welcome the one and only Robert Patrick. Okay, I am here once again with the amazing Robert Patrick on the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol. You're here for National Memorial Day concert once again. Why is it so important for you to continue to do this show?
Well, this show is fantastic because it's how we honor our fallen men and women that have given the ultimate devotion to this nation. I'm very, very proud to be here. I come from a military family. My grandfather was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, fought in World War I, World War II, and Korea, and I honor his service by being here. But I love coming to D.C., and even if I'm not doing the show, I'm here every year. I ride my Harley out here, and I come out with the Vietnam vets, and we demonstrate. We ride through the streets doing Rolling Thunder. I'm also involved with TAPS. I go out there. I'll be going out there shortly after this interview. But to become involved with these different organizations, it really helps me make sure that I show my appreciation for the men and women of our armed forces that have given their lives for us. And you know, freedom is not free. And somebody sacrificed their life for you to enjoy all this. So it's a fantastic way to honor them.
Yes, and you know, you've been in so many amazing projects.
Some of them not so good.
Well,
You're very kind. There's a couple.
Then you are here. You're telling somebody's real story.
Yes.
You know,
This is probably one of the hardest acting jobs to do, because you're going to tell one of these heroes, one of these men that has actually been in combat and seen his brothers fall and witnessed the horror of war, and tell it from his perspective, in his words, his point of view, and try to find a tone that he will approve of. And he's going to be sitting right there. So the pressure's on.
I was going to ask you that.
I can't play Don Graves, but I hope I tell his story very well.
Well, in rehearsal, you certainly did.
Well, it was a good rehearsal today. Let's hope we didn't blow that for the actual performance, because you only get so many of those every once in a while.
Finally, I'm a huge X-Files fan. I've asked you about it before.
Sure.
Ryan Coogler is kind of rebooting it with Fox.
Yeah, I'm so old. They don't want me. I'm 66 years old. They don't want me out there being the X-Files guy. I guess some young, sexy 30-year-old guy, 40-year-old guy be out there doing that. There's nothing for me to do in the X-Files except maybe play the aged John Doggett. But I have since you brought up John Doggett, I'm going to talk to you about John Doggett. You know, John Doggett was a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Don Graves is a Marine. John Doggett was an FBI agent. I told everyone at the end of the X-Files, people said, "What do you think happened to John Doggett?" And I said, "Well, John Doggett ran off and joined a motorcycle club and is living as a hermit somewhere in the Southwest. So that's where John Doggett is."
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure.
My pleasure
I
indeed.
appreciate it.
God bless you, buddy. There's the handshake.
There you
All
go.
right,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, buddy. Okay.
Robert Patrick, such an awesome guy. He's funny. He's so talented, and his dedication to, you know, our nation's heroes is really just so touching and inspiring. So you can still catch the National Memorial Day concert on demand on PBS's website, on Facebook, and on YouTube. We'll have the links in the show notes, and check it out. It is really, really powerful stuff. Capitol Concerts always does such a great job, and this year was no exception. So, all right, next up, Danny and Michael Philippou exploded onto the scene with their breakout horror hit Talk to Me, which, you know, I raved about when it came out. And they proved that not only can YouTubers make the leap to filmmaking, but they can freaking crush it. So now they're back with their highly anticipated follow-up film, Bring Her Back, a twisted, emotional, and terrifying ride that is sending shockwaves through the horror community. I mean, there's this one part, no spoilers, that I honestly thought about not leaving totally the movie, but getting up and standing outside for a moment because it was crazy. But anyway, Danny and Michael they're Aussie, they're Australian brothers, and they always bring a unique electric energy to everything they do. Their YouTube is amazing. Now their films are amazing. And their bold vision is really helping to reshape modern horror. So please welcome to Pop Culture Weekly the wildly talented and brilliantly unhinged duo, Danny and Michael Philippou. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you.
Of course. First of all, I love Talk to Me, and I love this film. Who hurt you guys?
Multiple people. Yeah, it's like anytime that you're writing any sort of horror film, you're drawing from everything that makes you uncomfortable. You look back on every single experience. You look back on anything that like sticks of you in like a sort of bad way, and then like the films are a way to exercise that sort of stuff.
You know, it's amazing to me because it's just both films are. I feel like I'm a huge genre fan, huge horror fan, as both of you are. I feel like it's helping to elevate the genre. You know, I mean, there's a place and a time for like silly, mindless slashers or whatever, and I love those too. But I feel like the work that you guys are doing are helping to lift it to be taken more seriously as films. You know.
Yeah, we always try to super make sure that like the films can exist as a drama film. Like if you took all the horror elements out, you could still tell this story as like a real life story. And
well, that just helps the horror when if you can connect with the characters and they feel real.
Yeah.
When these things happen, it gives them more impact. So yeah, we love the mindless slasher stuff too.
oh my God, I do as well. Like
But,
yeah.
but for our stuff, it's like we like trying to create stuff that's like with three-dimensional characters and purpose. Yeah.
And it's working. So, you know, Talk to Me comes out and it's your first big feature film and kind of explodes. Why did you choose for Bring Her Back? Why did you choose this story?
There was a bit of a pressure to go bigger and to go bolder, and this felt like the right story to tell. And there were so many offers that came in, there were so many big exciting projects, but this felt like the most personal story to tell. And it was a script that got written while we wrote Talk to Me. So it was something that we just wouldn't be able to get out of our heads unless we actually made it. Anytime I would have been on anything, I would have just been thinking about this. And it felt like a really personal expression. And I think that always makes the best art when you're being as personal as possible.
It is kind of, in a way, it's bigger in a different way.
Yeah.
It's definitely more violent.
Yes. For me, you know, as I watched it last night and there was a scene that I was like, I wish that I didn't have ears and eyes at that moment. If you know what I'm talking about. And, but for me, it really boils down to grief and, you know, what will we do? What could we do for our loved ones? How is that? Does that resonate with the both of you?
Yeah, it was tapping into those fears. Like the idea of a never-ending grief cycle is so terrifying. The idea of never being okay ever again. The idea of not being able to let someone go. Manifesting that in your mind and picturing what that looks like and what does that once look like? What does grief look like? It's all consuming, it's all encompassing, and it's like twisting someone so beautiful into someone, you know, horrific. So yeah, that was a very, very big inspiration point for sure.
And do you feel, you know, as you're doing a film like Bring Her Back, do you feel that, you know, putting these emotions in, like, in other words, is that something that's extremely conscious from the beginning as you're conceptualizing the project? Like, this is a story on, as you said, you know, not being able or whatever to let somebody go. Is that a concept that then conceptualizes into a bigger story, or how does that process work for you guys?
It's so interesting. Like you find that theme as you're writing, and it's always moments and scenes and characters, and it's sort of like you're putting these things together, and the story finds itself as you write.
But yeah, the biggest inspiration point for this movie was a friend's little sister who's non-sighted, and her wanting to catch the bus.
Yeah, and she her family was a bit scared to let her do that because, you know, it can be really dangerous. But in her mind, she's like, I need to learn how to be independent. I need to learn how to navigate the world. And I could see both sides of the argument. And so that was a really fascinating thing. And I started writing on that and talking to her a little bit more and like asking what she feels like. What do you think that would be like to be able to see? And she said, I'm glad I can't see because now I don't have to see the ugly things in the world. And like that statement was so poignant, and that became like the thematic base for the entire film.
Wow. Okay. So that's actually where it came from.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the first seeds for sure.
That's incredible. When you're doing a film like this, obviously as genre lovers yourself, do you find inspiration in other films? And if so, what were some of those projects for Bring Her Back?
I mean, we looked at a bunch of Psycho Biddy films from the 50s and 60s, and so Whatever Happened to Baby Jane was a big one, Wait Until Dark was a big one, See No Evil was a big one. Yeah, Mouse Hunt was a big one. Michael loves this movie called Mouse Hunt.
Great film.
Mouse
Good
Hunt,
film.
the with Nathan Lane or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the one, baby.
Wow.
That's very bring it
Hey,
back.
inspired a few scenes.
Yeah,
You can probably guess which ones.
Yeah.
When and you guys essentially started out on YouTube. As you are, at that time creators, obviously, as artists, we all envision bigger for ourselves. But did you ever think, in 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, 2 years, we're going to be creating projects we're causing bidding wars and being with A24. And was that ever on your radar then?
It's just the most impossible thing to imagine. And it just...
I guess it's always the dream. The dream was always to be able to make movies that we wanted to make with no kind of limitations, like whatever idea we wanted to do to create it. That was always the dream. So it's so surreal that we're able to be in this position.
And we feel so lucky and so honored that we get to do it. And yeah, it's scary. You're like, please don't go away, because it's just like, that's a terrifying thing as well. And and I could feel the pressure mounting up to talk to me, where I was like getting scared to make another movie. Like I was like, am I supposed to top this? There's this certain expectation now, and like I could feel myself getting paralyzed by that. And the only way to sort of overcome that was just to sign on to the next one and be like, quickly, like the door's open, let's go, and don't think about it, just jump in.
I'm so glad you did, and I know everybody that sees it is going to feel the same. When you're doing, a film like Bring Her Back, do you ever, and I kind of mean this more literally, do you ever put parts of yourself into these characters? I mean, you're both, writing and directing. It's gotta, I feel like, kind of be hard not to. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I do not write with Michael. Michael did not write this.
I did.
He did not. We have a co-writer named Bill Hinsman who's so incredible to collaborate with. And it's interesting. Like you draw from everywhere. You draw from yourself. You draw from people that you know, experiences that you've had, and just listening to stories of people and talking to certain people as well, like talking to a bunch of different mothers and talking about like how far would you go for your kid. And even our producer, Samantha Jennings, is such an incredible creative producer as well. Conversations with her, deep conversations with her. It's such an intimate thing when you're writing a script. And I think the way to make it the most unique is to make it the most personal. And so I think there's bits of everything in there.
I love that. Thank you, boys, both so much. I can't wait for everybody to see this, and I'm already excited for your next project. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
chatting
you.
with us.
Danny and Michael Philippou. Love those guys. Love their work. Love Talk to Me. Love Bring Her Back. And I can't wait to see what they do next. I can't wait for you to see Bring Her Back so we can talk about it. It is so good. I really loved it. And I think you will too. So once you see it, hit me up on social or email or leave a voicemail on the website or at podcast.popcultureweekly.com. Or if you're listening on the iHeartRadio app, you can use the talkback button and I might just feature you on the next episode. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are speaking with the cast of Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme, including Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, and Mia Threapleton. See you in 60.
We've all done it. You see a headline but don't have time to read the whole story, or there's so much news you're not sure what is worth your time. I'm Colby Ekowitz, co-host of Post Reports, the weekday afternoon podcast from The Washington Post. Post Reports brings you what's relevant and revealing. Breaking stories, politics, wellness, culture. Each episode goes beyond a headline for the context you need. Find Post Reports now, wherever you're listening.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for supporting our sponsors who help make this show possible every week and help me bring it to you so we can continue to do this and I can continue to interview, these amazing talents and talk about movies and music and streaming and TV. So, all right, our next guests are starring in the latest cinematic adventure from the endlessly inventive Wes Anderson. I love Wes Anderson. The Phoenician Scheme, that's his newest film. It is a visually stunning, emotionally rich, and, as always with Wes, a delightfully offbeat tale that only he could bring to life. So, he is an Oscar-winning actor, known for his magnetic intensity and unforgettable roles in everything from Traffic to The French Dispatch, the legendary Benicio del Toro. And joining him is a comedic genius who's charmed us in Superbad, Arrested Development, and Scott Pilgrim, and is now diving headfirst into Anderson's whimsical world, the brilliantly understated Michael Cera. And rounding out the trio, she is a rising star, and actually, she is the daughter of Kate Winslet, and she's making serious waves on her own with powerful performances. The incredibly talented Mia Threapleton. So let's jump right in and get a peek behind the pastel curtains of the Phoenician scheme. Here they are, Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, and Mia Threapleton. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, first of all, the film's incredible, and I got to ask, Benicio, you've worked with Wes Anderson before. He builds these like worlds that are so unique and incredible. Is that part of the attraction of doing another Wes film?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he also creates these characters that are full of contradictions, that are like very human. And, so it's a challenge for any actor to try to, be that character and bring it to life. And it's a lot of fun, that contradiction. The arc also of all three of us, had characters that evolved. That's to have three in the same movie. That's like, they don't make them like that. Movies that have all these characters are evolving. It's really, really exciting and a compliment to Wes's writing.
I love that. And Michael, you've had a interesting, you have an accent that obviously you don't normally have. Did you have to practice that? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it took a little work, and it was kind of a matter of Wes and I delicately kind of finding where, how far you could take that without ruining the movie, basically, or just, tipping it into being ridiculous or just, being too loud of an element in the movie. So it's kind of a fine line. But I mean, the character was written as Norwegian, so it was sort of, and, not to spoil anything, but then there's a twist later where the character, I'm kind of spoiling it, but anyway, it kind of turns. And that turn was kind of depends on the accent in a way too, because so that you can kind of create a before and after. So, yeah, it was a matter of working with Wes and both of us, taking a deep breath and just going for it at a certain point.
That's great. And Mia, this is your first starring role in a big, film. What is that like? I mean, that's so awesome.
It was unbelievable, and not just as a hyperbolic thing to say. It truly, I did not believe that it was happening to me. I got the first email, which was a self-tape request with dummy sides that were, or audition pages that were not from the original film script. So I sort of did that and had that moment of thinking, right, okay, well, it's out in the universe now. If nothing else comes of this beyond this point, then I'll still feel very, very grateful and very happy that I got to send in a self-tape to Wes Anderson, somebody who I've loved and admired his work since I was 8 years old. And literally have been dreaming of, hopefully, maybe, fingers crossed, wish on all of the stars, wanting to work with that person. And then, complete disbelief when that moment came, when my agent called me and said they'd like to offer you the job. I did burst into tears and did not stop crying for possibly a good day, maybe. I still don't really know how this is happening, but I'm sort of waiting for someone to sort of wake me up from this dream. But I don't know, I still feel like I'm dreaming.
Well, I think it's real, and I think you've earned it, and you're amazing in it, as all of you are. So thank you all very much. I can't wait for everybody to see the film. It's so great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good day. Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, Mia Threapleton. Love those guys. Love the Phoenician Scheme. Love Wes Anderson. And I got to know, if you're a Wes Anderson film, go see the Phoenician Scheme and let me know what you think. I love him. He builds these like worlds that are just, you don't find anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like I always feel like I know it's a Wes Anderson film by the look and the cast and the script and just everything about it. He just puts you in the unique world of Wes Anderson. So anyway, that's our show for this episode. Let me know what you think. What are you watching? What are you not watching? What are you loving? What are you not loving? Let's talk about it. Leave me a voicemail on the iHeartRadio app using the talkback button or on podcast.popcultureweekly.com, and I may just feature you in a future episode. So make sure you leave your name and all. All right. That's it for this week. I will see you next episode. I love you.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
It was an action-packed episode. An action-packed episode. We had Robert, Patrick, Benicio del Toro, the Philippou brothers, Michael, Cera, and we can't forget me, Threapleton. Yeah, it was an action-packed show.
There's an efficient way to get caught up on a lot of news. It's called The 7 from the Washington Post. It's a newsletter and podcast. Whether you're reading or hit play, you get 7 stories you need to know, and you can consume it all in just a few minutes. The 7 is out every weekday morning by 7 a.m. Eastern. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'm one of the writers, and I host the show. Find The 7 podcast wherever you're listening. The newsletter link is waiting for you in the show notes.